Hi guys and welcome. Today we're going to do a gusseted pocket tag. I don't have one pre-made. I am doing it for a Facebook group swap. So the Facebook group I'm in is here in Australia called Junk Journal Creative Swaps in Oz. So I've committed to doing a swap for this, and I haven't made one before, so I'm pretty excited about how it's going to turn out. So grab a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. Now this piece here, I like the quality of the 49er market. It's quite thick, so it'll be my outer cover. So we want a piece cut at 12 inches, which is the size of a 12 by 12, and the width is 3 1/4. So if you've got a cutter that's got those measurements on there, then use that. Try not to use paper that's got too much writing on it, because you'll end up, because it's like that, so you'll end up with it upside down. So choose whether, you know, what your front or your back is with that. But I like the butterfly, even though it's going to be upside down. We'll be covering it over on that one, and it's fairly plain on the back. Then I'll do the cutting first, and then we've got just 2 score lines to go on that. Then we want 4 pieces of 5 by 6 inch. So you can use your 6 by 6 papers for that. I'll just cut the edge strip that some of these papers have. This one I'm using here is from Couture Creations. And once again, if you've got a pattern on there, work out which sides up. You want your 6 inch width to be your long side. So if you've got writing like that, or turned over so you can see the writing, you want your 6 inches across that way. And then you want your 5 inch that way, so you'll have a strip left over, but keep it for your scraps. So you'll have a strip like that left over. And these pieces here are for our pockets, so I'll just check that is 6, which it is, and it should be if we're working off a 12 by 12, but some brands are slightly off. And then I've actually got a scorer on here, but I'm going to just pop that to the side and get my scoreboard out, for those of you that like to work off a scoreboard. So with my piece that's going to be my front cover, I want to score it at, what is it, 6 1/8 or 5 7/8. So, which will be, I don't know whether you can see that on the board, you know, it goes 1 2 3, and in between it's got all the little notches. So 5 7/8, because there's 8 notches there, I go the little notch just before the 6, and then I go the little notch just after the 6, because it's 6 1/8, and then it'll form like a little spine that should be dead center, and it should match up like that, which it does. And that's the only scoring you'll need to do. So if you don't have a scoreboard, you can use a ruler, or if you've got a cutting board that has a scorer on it, the same as mine, which is a Stampin' Up one. And then if I can find my score tool or my bone folder, I'll just give it a bit more of a sharper crease. Lovely. So let's just pop that off to the side a bit. Actually, one thing we'll do, because we want to make a template for the top of the tag, I'm just going to cut a piece the same width, so just out of that scrap. And this is how you get your tags even. Then I will just fold it in half like that. So we're making a template, and then you sort of just cut the ear off as you normally would, and you'll see you've got the top of a tag. So when we cut these, which I'll do now actually, we just put it up like that, hold it in place, or get a clip to hold it in place, and you're going to get your ears exactly the same size. And then we're going to go over this side as well, and we know that it's going to marry up perfectly. So then if we put it together, see, perfect. And then we're going to put, you know, a hole in there. So let's pop that one off to the side. Keep that if you're going to be making a few of these. I have a lot of tag templates that I keep, because once you go to the trouble of making it, then you want to be able to utilize it. All right, so with the 6-inch length that way, and you got your 5-inch up that way, fold it over, and you can eyeball this. Now we only want a really fine line that we're just going to put a very fine bead of glue on, and then score that down. And we want 4 of these. You can have them going separate ways. I'm just going to have them all going the same color. So you can use, good way to use your scraps up this as well. If you've got some leftover 6x6 in your paper pad that, you know, you don't necessarily like the paper, because you're not going to be seeing the paper because they're all going to be stuck together. Good way to use up those pieces you don't particularly like, because if you buy paper in a pad, chances are you'll get 1 or 2 pages that you think, it's not quite me, don't know whether I'd use that in my projects or not. Never throw it away. Of course we can also collage over them like I've done in previous projects. You can, if you, for those of you that like to measure and have everything exact, you can measure one out and then score it, but realistically you don't have to. Now I did say that we were finished scoring before, but we do want to score one more line down the bottom of each of these ones. So the best way to do that is to open it up and we're just going to do 1/2 inch right along the bottom of each one. You could do the scoring before you do the fold, entirely up to you. Either way will work. This way you just put your hand down and keep it flat anyway. Because that's going to form part, it's going to fold up. So these end bits on that scoring we don't want. So if you cut it just on an angle like that, it's a bit hard on the darker paper, and then along the line. You would have done this method if you're making coin pockets or even just some pockets in your journal. And then when we glue that down there, we will fold that over. So by cutting those side bits off, it gets rid of the bulk down there. So that's one done. And angling it too, you've got no square ends poking out. And I like to cut just on the top of that score mark. It'll just make it fold better when we tuck that bottom piece up. So these are great. You can use to have, you can put tags in the pockets. You can store ephemera, little note cards, extra journaling cards. Great little space to have some hidden stuff in. Okay, so let's put them together. So just a bead of glue down there, very fine. So art glitter is really good for that, or if you have glue that's in a metal tip dispenser that you can do a fine line with, and then the bottom folds over like that. So that's one pocket done. Now, of course, you don't have to have four pockets in this. You may choose to just have a couple, entirely up to you. I like the 4 pockets. And I think with the spine that we put in the actual tag cover, it's enough to hold the 4 pockets. I guess, you know, it depends on what you stuff in them too. You could have, if you didn't have paper cardstock, you could stamp some on plain cardstock or paper. You're not necessarily going to see the patterns, which you will see what I mean when I finish. You'll only see the outside cover. So there's, you could even just do this with plain cardstock. Now, I like to put a notch in mine. That's entirely up to you, but if you've got stuff in it, it makes it easier to pull them out. So this is a great size because it's the width of my punch. So I'm eyeballing it, so hopefully I can get them all very similar. So they match up, but you could put a mark on your punch. Okay, lovely. Let's get rid of these taggy bits. All right, so with the joins, so we're going to put some double-sided tape on one each of them, not on the second one because we're going to be sticking them together. But I like to put a strip down here and then a strip along the bottom of the second one, which I'll show you. Now I've got some double-sided tape here, which is just the 6mm, so you only need a really fine, you don't need it too thick. And just write down you can glue if you want. It just means you'd have to hold them together, and then a piece along the other piece that we're going to be sticking it to. Then to get the tape, double-sided tape up, if you don't want to use your fingernails, I usually use my bone scorer to adhere it down. Helps it stick. And then I just get an awl or a pokey tool, you could even use a needle, and it just peels it up. This way you're not scratching away with your fingernails. And I have in the past had this plastic bit go under my nail bed, and it really hurts. And then we just line it up like this. So the pockets are together. Then we do the other two. So part of our challenge was to watch, they give you like a reference YouTube to watch. So I will find that and put that link down the bottom as well, so you can get you know, other people's takes on it and ideas, because this is not my original idea. But like I said, we're doing it for a Facebook swap, so I thought I'd bring you guys along. I've got to make 2 of them, but I'm only doing 1 today. Bring you guys along to share how they're made, and I'll put the measurements down the bottom as well, guys, just as a easy quick reference for you. And just marry these ones up as best you can. Lovely. And now we want to do the same, so we treat them just like 2 pieces like before, and then we're going to do the same, put some double-sided tape down, and then that'll be the 4 that is together. It got a bit stuck, but anyway, it'll be okay. And then we pop them together. Beautiful. Let's grab our cover. Now we're going to put a bit of tape down on our spine that we created, the scored place. Across there. I'm going to add a bit of glue too, because we are adding the 4 pockets, so just to make sure it adheres just that little bit, because you know that these here aren't necessarily that even. As you can see, you can only do your best in putting them together, so the glue will sort of be like a 3D double-sided tape, and then we push them down, adhere it in there. So I'm just going to put a clip on that, because we're going to work on the front. Actually, we'll work on this front. We still got a bit more sticking to do inside, but let's just let that dry a little bit, just quickly. Now we want to, I might put a paper doll on this one, but we want to put a bit of background texture on the front there as well. So a bit of book page. I'm going to ink that. I'll have to, when I finish this video, I'll have to take some time and clean my desk a little bit. While I love having everything on my desk, at the moment I feel like it's all closing in on me. Alright, so I might use a glue stick for that. Glue sticks are great because if you're doing a bigger surface like this and it's paper to paper, then you're better off to use a glue stick to get an even adherence on the back. Now, while she's great, I just feel like we need extra texture. So I've got this stamped scrap. You can see I've just gone stamp over it. Some are overlaying each other, some are faint, some are, but never throw it out because they're great for layering. And we're going to have a eyelet up there, so that'll sort of take space of that there. We might put something along the bottom maybe. Actually, I might go and then bring her down a bit. Just need something extra. Don't know what. Maybe a number. And then maybe a number of some sort down there. Actually, I'm going to leave that up there. Maybe just a number or a circle label. Thought I had one on my desk here, but if not, I'll go to my label folder and we might go a greeny type one just to bring out her wings maybe. Yep, a faded one because we want her to still pop. The other one was a little bit bright. So I like to have, which I think this one's from Field Notes, which is Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous. I like to have a few different colors stamped out and have it in my label folder. Just for days like today when, you know, you want to be able to throw it on quickly. And because imagine if I had to sit down now and stamp a couple of different shades out or different colors, it'd really make my project really long and unenjoyable. So I love to have pre-done stuff. Now this bit of material lace, we'll only be able to tack it, which is fine. The fabric glue will do the rest. And then we'll ink this one up. You of course don't have to have the circle. You could have a label down there, a word, a stamped number. But it's not really something I'm wanting to highlight because I want the focal point being the paper doll to feature, which she still does, as you can see. Okay, so before we do our eyelet, really love that. I'll need to ink ink around the edge just to blend it all in together. You could too put a little pocket on the back, depending on how you're going to have it in your journal. I'm not going to do that today because I'm undecided on if I'm going to, you know, just paper clip it in or slide it inside a pocket, and that'll determine, you know, if I add a little bit more on the back. So now we want to put another piece up there, and I'm going to do the sides separately because you can see we need to then bring it up to here, and it'd be different if we, you know, tried to do it all before we did the cover. Okay, double-sided tape. Now this one I'm going to, because I want to put a piece across there as well, I'm going to go just up a bit. And yes, we'll have to snip a bit off at the other end, which is fine. Now we're going to do the other side. So you can see, apart from having the glue and the tape on the spine that's holding them all down, the extra reinforcement is to have them glued to the cover. Now you could have, if you wanted another additional pocket there, you could have glued them either side there, but I didn't. I think 4 pockets is enough. I may even put a bit of glue down. Actually, I might do that so it pulls open evenly. A bead of glue on the inside down each side. And then I'm just going to clip that together just for a couple of minutes while it dries, and I'll do the eyelet up the top. Sometimes you might have to massage it back if you've held it on one side too long, just so the top's even there, which is just what I'm doing now. There we go. If it's really annoying and you can't get it back, I might just snip it off. Which you may not have been able to see it anyway. Once you put the eyelet on and some sari silk or seam binding. Actually, I haven't done the inside of the top of that, which I'll do. Just a very light colour. So that's better. You can see that you've got, you may need to, because we've been squishing it, get your, just reopen that pocket back up. Now inside there, you can put ephemera, tags. They're not really very long to show you. Here we go. Let's go some, you know, some tickets. I've got some tickets here. Some stand. So you'll have all your ephemera in there, or your little note cards. Now we want to put a eyelet on there, so I'll grab my crocodile and just eyeball the center. I'm not going too far down because I've got longer tickets and that I want to have in there. So we're going to do an eyelet either side. Squished it a bit too far then. I mustn't have my other fitting on. That's better. And now I'll just grab some sari silk. It's not, let me redo that eyelet. Can I pull it out without damaging it? Yes. I had the wrong setting on that, so it squished it in a way I didn't want it to be squished. It was all uneven, so we're just going to redo it. So I remember now I was working with some really smaller eyelets that I wasn't used to working with, and yeah, it didn't, actually that's still not right. It didn't like it because the fitting down the bottom was not the right one. I'll try the bigger one, which I don't normally change my settings too much. So I should learn to, if I do that, there we go. If I do that, to put them back, because 9 times out of 10 you're just grabbing to do. And if you go to a lot of work to do a project, your eyelet's usually the last piece that you do, and it's just a shame if you were to wreck it on the last hurdle. So I'll just grab some sari silk. Got this beautiful vintage one here. These storage cards are the best thing. I've got a video on that, guys, if you want to check that out. A lot of it's just eyeballing, cutting, but winding all your laces and everything on it. It saves them getting tangled, and it's a cost-effective. There's a knot there, so I'm just going to keep it off. It's a very cost-effective way to store everything. Now I'm just going to thread through. I'm not going to tie it in a knot, I'm just going to give it the one tie. And then you can get a bulb pin and put, see if I've got one handy here. And just put a little charm on it. So what do we want? I'll go a black one for a change. And do I have a charm handy? That's the next question. I have one in the drawer beside me. Nope, I don't have one handy. I'll just throw these couple of containers up here. Sometimes you get lucky. Might be a tag or something in there that we can use just to finish it off. Just want something fairly smallish. There we go, that will do. Is it too long? We don't want to cover her up. Let's just use this leaf charm. Just putting it on the front there so it won't affect if we untie that because the tie's on the top. And just putting a little charm on there. Of course you could put a button, anything you want, but there you go guys. Let me just clean this up a bit so you can see what we've done. So it's a tag, we can put a pocket on the back. Let's just open it up here, take that out. You've got a little storage so you can have little journaling cards in there for extra journaling space. That's a to-do list. You can have tags in there. That one's a bit short, but you'd make it a bit bigger and have a couple of tags in there that you can journal on the back as well, or little notebooks, just some little secret places. But there you go guys, so it's a gusseted pocket tag, and I'll put the link to the video that we all watched to be able to do this swap this month. But a lot of fun and just another idea for your journals. Thanks guys, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.